This armory protects my heart.
blood ran over me. Every melody you ever sung to me floods my memory. I can't breathe. I vow to right this wrong. I promise here and now. I loved you all along. I threw away my crown. I lost my sanity. You're my key. I'll bring you back, my Valkyrie. You're coming home, never lost hope. My soul been hiding? For now I have been brought to silence in the faintest light. I don't know if I belong here, but in this beauty I am mesmerized. I no longer feel the fear. Forget my battles, they are long gone now. I am under the spell of the angel's sound. The voice that called me in another life. Now I can
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the High School Star League Hearthstone. My name is Seamoose, and I am joined by Blitzbot. We are getting into this game between Patfire and Snipert. Blitzbot, are you with me? The answer to that might actually be no. 1 second, guys. We will try to get him in as soon as possible. But anyway, we're in this game. It's going to be Mage versus Hunter. Now, both of these decks are going to be fairly standard. It looks like hybrid Hunter initially from Patfire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just going to say Patfire from now on because that is way too long of a name. And then on the other side, it seems like pretty standard Tempo Mage, Frostbolt, Polymorph, and a Mad Scientist. Hold on, let me just try and make sure that... Oh, Blitzcrank, or Blitzbot, are you here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Perfect.
I guess I just had to refresh the page.
Yep. So it looks like we are all ready to go, and you're in the games as well, correct?
Yep. It looks like Snipert is Mage with a Polymorph. That is very interesting. Polymorph tells me that this might be okay. With the Earthen Ring Farseer and the Polymorph, this tells me that it's definitely a far slower Mage than a Tempo Mage. Even with the Frost Nova, this is kind of reminds me of Era's Control Mage.
Yeah. Control Mage, what do you think about that matchup into the Hunter?
It all depends on your early game. Like, he has the Mad Scientist, he has the Earthen Ring Farseer to draw. The question is, what kind of Hunter is Patfire? If he's Face Hunter, it looks like a Face Hunter with that Argent Horse Rider.
Yeah.
But... oh, Snipert just drew a ton of heal, though.
And you know what's interesting is there's two scientists on the board, but there's a explosive trap in Patfire's hand. That's actually not the kind of start he's probably be looking for.
I've seen a lot of Face Hunters run two kinds of traps. Either two explosive and one snake, or one of each trap. Or it's just, Hunters have been experimenting a lot with their traps.
Okay.
So... he might be able to get some value out of a scientist, but due to the fact that he's going all face, it's either he only runs explosive traps, or that it appears that he only runs explosive traps. I assume that he might have run freezing or something in that order, but...
yeah, these are definitely some interesting decks. We can see Ragnar with the Fire Lord. I don't know how many mages I've seen run that.
Yeah, this is very, very reminiscent of Era's Control Mage. For those of you who do not know, Era is a Swedish Hearthstone player playing for Team Root. And back during the height of Patron, he made this sort of Control Mage deck with duplicates and Hillbot and Polymorph and Ice Block and Ragnaros. It was basically the ultimate anti-Patron deck. It was just made to destroy Patron. But it does decently well versus Hunter. But right now, the Hunter is kind of just pushing through the damage. Like, right now, Snipper didn't draw any of his Doomsayers. Ooh, this is really good. Like, he needed those Belchers.
Yeah, the Belcher is going to be such a strong body that it's going to be very, very difficult for Patfire to sort of get through that.
But it looks like a kill command might... ooh.
Would you kill command here, or would you just use
abusive?
Yeah.
The kill command is very valuable in this matchup for face damage. Because now that he saw the Hillbot, he saw the Earthen Ring Farseer, he saw the Belcher, he can assume this is a sort of control mage, so he needs the kill command to go face.
Yep.
Here we see him playing around Flame Strike, some sort of AoE, so he wants to take advantage of having that beast out on the board with Leok, so that he can play that kill command for 5 damage.
Yeah, that's pretty intelligent too, because not only that, but it also just gets the 5 damage onto the mage, and it's very hard for, unless the mage has heal, to sort of recover HP. But he knew that the duplicated those sludge belchers, so he wouldn't be as easily able to attack through the face, you know. Either way, I'm gonna be able to get some nice damage here and get to draw off of quick shots. So Snipert's still in a pretty poor position, I would say.
You know, or would I?
Maybe. I'm not sure.
I might have quick shotted the if you quick shotted the Belcher. Yeah, he should have quick shotted the Belcher. So that he could trade with his Glaive Zuka, or trade with the 2-1, which kills the first half of the Belcher.
Oh, he would have kept the minion then, huh?
Then he would have been able to hit the 3-1 to his face.
Yeah.
Allowing him to keep the 3-1 and the 1-1.
Alright, so he's not going to play the Golem just to prevent the opponent from getting any extra mana, but he's already at 9 mana, so at this point, he's just really hoping for a top deck beast, because otherwise...
Or another kill command, or some sort of base damage thing. Owl. Iron Owl would be very nice.
Yeah, he's going to be forced to use the kill commands. I don't think he can do anything here, though.
Let's see, how much damage is this? He sets, Patfire sets Snipert to 2 HP.
Well,
and
Snipert can't attack, though.
Yeah, he can't, because of the explosive trap, so if he attacks,
hold on,
he'll just die. Oh! If Snipert runs Ice Block, pinging off the explosive sheep to kill off his scientist to bring out an Ice Block.
That's not gonna do it.
Hello.
Wow.
That's a duplicate. So I'm guessing that was a 50-50 chance for Snipert to win the game right there.
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was a very next level play, but unfortunately it didn't work out.
So, Patfire is going to take game 1 with his pretty much face hunter deck up against Snipert's control-centered mage.
Yeah, it's very interesting that he runs Echoes. Normally this kind of deck, or Era's control mage, it didn't run any Echoes. It chose to run more like 2 explosive cheap, more healing, more AoE like 2 flame strikes, and I wonder what he cut to fit in the Echo. I like Echo. Echo of Medivh is one of my favorite cards.
Really?
Yeah, it's the amount of value and the versatility of the card is insane.
Yeah.
But the issue is, when you put in Echo, you have to have a game plan for it.
Right.
Like, if I knew, like, if he had Echo in his deck, I might have chosen to not trade, like, to keep the heal bot alive somehow. If he knew he has Echo in his deck, just to sort of hopefully draw it out and then echoing a Hillbond and play it again. But the issue was, Patfire had such a good hand in order to deal with the, what the control mage had. And not only that, but Snipert really needed that explosive sheep early on. But he didn't really get it.
Yeah, Snipert was telling me that, his mage deck is definitely weird, and I'm not familiar with the player that you're talking about, but just looking at the options, it seems like a combination of freeze mage and then sort of just control mage.
Yeah, Era, he's not that well known to most NA players. In the EU region, he's more well known. Root is big over in the sort of EU gaming scene. Has a lot of players around like Britain, Malta, Sweden.
What was the organization?
Era comes from Sweden.
Or does he play for a team?
Yeah, Root.
Okay, Root. Yeah, I'm familiar with Root.
Yeah, so he plays for Root. Although he hasn't been playing Hearthstone for a while, he's just kind of disenchanted with the game.
Gotcha. Well, Patron can definitely do that to players. But for now...
Okay, this is very interesting take, because Era's control mage, it had Frost Novas, but it didn't have Doomsayers. You kind of played the Frost Novas for tempo, so you can sort of stall till you can drop down your Alexstrasza and your Ragnarok. So sort of big minions. Speaking of big minions, what did it drop? Only a Belcher.
Belcher off of a Deathlord isn't that bad, though. It's a body, it's not easy to get rid of. And...
I might have coined out the second Sludge Belcher here.
What would there be to be afraid of from Snipert?
Not really. Shadow Word Pain, I guess, but that just punishes your single Belcher.
Interesting. He's still not playing the Belcher.
Very interesting. I'm guessing he kind of values the ping here. Because unless, like, say for example, if Patfire wants to play Cabal, steal the Mad Scientist, he won't be able to heal up the Lothab afterwards. But with that Optic Holy Nova, not only does Patfire heal up his Lothab out of ping range, but he also gets rid of that 1-2 Slime and the Scientist. So here we're going to see the Frostbolt come down, and let's see. There's that Ice Block that Snipert was trying to get last game. Looks like he also develops that duplicate. He wants to sort of get some value off, either with the Belcher or some other minion. Like, getting duplicate off of an explosive sheep is amazing value, because then you can play 2 sheeps and ping it, and then you got, like, a Flame Strike.
Yeah. Ellen's chosen play now. Patfire with complete board control. You can look at those secrets. Ice Block as well as Duplicate. Now, you're obviously way more familiar with this deck than I am. So the point is just to continuously control the board until you get those late game minions, for example, Alex, and just kind of take control back of the game, correct?
And duplicating Rag, you know, standard things.
Yeah. So what do you do when your opponent plays so many early game minions and you can't really force them off the board, like this situation? He could go for like a Frost Nova.
Well, that's why you have things like Explosive Sheep and Doomsayer. Like right now, I would have probably played the Frost Nova Doomsayer instead of playing the Belcher. Because if he was, say for example, he had a Shadow Word Pain, then you would have gotten 2 Doomsayers, and then you would have been able to sort of play them both next turn, and then one of them would be able to go off. Because that's like 14 points of damage to get through. You can't kill him.
What's interesting is that in this situation, Patfire has 2 Shadow Word Deaths, which of course aren't going to be useful on those smaller minions. So the Doomsayer will clear the board. And it's looking like Snipper now, he drew into a heal bot, so he's got quite a bit of heal in his hand, and he could technically deal with this guy. Whoa, he's actually going to use an Explosive Sheep to kill one of the sludges. That's interesting. I feel like maybe just pinging, attacking with the sludge would have been a better choice. But back to Patfire's turn. Could play the Sylvanas here. Of course, it runs the risk of dying without getting any minion, but it's the best option he has, all things considered. Oh man, the Polymorph's gonna get rid of it really, really quick though, so Snipert is still controlling the board fairly well. He doesn't really have any of his inherent win conditions in his hand. And a Doom for Patfire is going to be an excellent card to play down. But on the other hand, Big Game Hunter is going to get rid of it. So still, Patfire doing a great job of controlling this board. Gonna run through his turn incredibly successfully, obviously. You want to ping the bots and kill them first, so that way they don't have a chance to kill your BGH. Patfire finally forced to play down his Soul Priest. He's going to be able to kill the Big Game Hunter with a lesser heal, but Duplicate will give Snipper two. Yeah, you back?
Okay, yeah, sorry, I just had to attend something. But what happened? So Patfire drew Boom, and then... But what I would have done instead, since you have to duplicate up, and you want to dupe something of value, I probably would have just traded the heal bot into Boom and then Flame Strike.
Yeah.
You want to get that empty board because, you know, duplicating a Big Game Hunter or, you know, a Hailbot isn't really that much of a value, especially against a control sort of priest like the one that Patfire is running. You want to duplicate, you know, things like Belchers, Rag. Let's what other big game or sort of big minions that he has. See,
Rag. He does have the Echo to Echo Rag if Rag would survive.
Yeah, right now it's just a sort of awkward turn for him.
I don't know if I agree with this play.
Yeah. It's just the Arcane Intellect into sort of nothing good. Big Game Hunter does nothing.
Well, I guess he's afraid of the Shadow Word Death, because if he coined out Rag, the Rag would surely die.
Yeah. But, and as we see in Patfire's hand, he has 2 Shadow Word Deaths.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation.
Yeah, I wonder if Snipert actually runs Emperor Thorson in this deck. That'll be an interesting card to see.
Well
Oh,
played.
that is...
Huh.
Huh. So it looks like Patfire is really
In the light's name.
focusing on sort of cycle. He killed his own Arcanine so he could heal up his Northshire Cleric so he could draw a card, which is a very interesting play. I don't know if I would have done the same thing. Because it was probably going to die to the ping. But I'm guessing he's fearing another... Speaking of AoE, like another AoE, such as the Explosive Sheep.
This is a peculiar situation for Snipert because if he could manage to clear this board, he's probably got the game in the bag. However, there's so many large health minions on the side of Patfire, and Patfire is going to keep drawing off of that Cleric and keep healing his minions
I might have
up.
played Explosive Sheep.
What would you do though? Would you kill? Would you just play it and just pass?
I just played it so that next turn you can echo it because he's both Arcanized.
Oh, that's a card.
That is a card. But how useful of a card is it?
Well,
It gets rid of the Cultist and the Light Warden, but then
you could play the sheep, ping the sheep.
yeah, with the coin.
Yeah.
Play the sheep, ping the sheep. That gets rid of the Northshire Cleric. But see, this is why I would have liked playing the Explosive Sheep last turn with the Frost Nova.
Well, what's funny is those big games also are absolutely not helping Snipert out right now.
Yeah, that's I feel that when he had the duplicate up and he played it, the even though Big Game Hunter is the natural predator towards Dr. Boom, in that case it was just wrong to play it.
Yeah.
Even though it's probably the only time you get Big Game Hunter value, I would not have played it that time. You had such a clean kill with Flame Strike, and you needed to set up your duplicate.
Alright, so this
Something.
Northshire Cleric has gotten so many minions so far, and a Shadow
Oh!
Mattis.
Well played.
That Shadow Man is off the one of the draws.
Yeah, and he
That
drew a
is-
Shadow Word Pain as well, so Patfire has all the control in the world now.
Yeah, with Wild Pyromancer, this is a very control-heavy sort of priest. I'm actually kind of surprised that he drew his minions like both Arcanine, the Valence Chosen, the Cleric.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Rag is gonna go down here. Oh, he has 2 Wild Pyros. Question is, does he run any Circle of Healings? I would assume he runs at least one because of the presence of Injured Blade Master.
Yeah.
If you run Injured Blade Master, you're almost certainly running Circle of Healing. A turn 3, 4, 7, or perhaps a turn 2, 4, 7 is just so difficult for most classes to deal with.
Or even the turn 5 Flame Strike with the Soul Priest.
Oh, yeah. Or turn 4, turn 4.
Yeah, you know,
Turn 4,
you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's such a strong move. That
Yeah, and the surprise Shadow Word Pain coming in to destroy the Water Elemental.
Alright, so
and-
Patfire, he must assume that this is a Ice Block.
Yeah, Ice Block, and then the second secret being Duplicate. So it looks like Snipert does...
Gonna echo.
Wow. But what was I going to say? It looks like Snipert does run Water Elemental, I assume, to get either duplicate value or as an anti-warrior sort of tech. Because it's very difficult for warriors to deal with Water Elementals outside of an execute.
So the Shadow Word Death is gonna kill this Antonidas. And does Snipert have an out? Because now he has 3 Antonidases in his hand, but that really isn't gonna help him that much.
Well played.
That doesn't really do much.
Oh,
in
a
this
heal
case.
bot. I don't think it's gonna be enough though.
If he heal bots,
He could heal bot and
he needs to fireball the
right. And hope.
Shredder.
Oh, huh? I thought he was gonna hope for a kill the Shredder.
Well played.
Oh, so
Alright.
it does run an Emperor's Spark. I think he should have fireballed the
Oh, the Shredder.
shredder.
Yeah.
Fireball the shredder, get. So he was at 2 life. He could heal up to 10. If he fireball the shredder and get a 1 attack or less minion, or preferably a doomsayer, he would have been alive for the time being.
Yeah.
Or what was in Patfire's hand? I don't think he had any sort of direct damage in his hand. No.
Yeah. So this is game 3 now, and Snipert is no longer taking his mage deck. He's still got to win with it, obviously, if he wants to win this series. But Patfire has so much of much momentum.
If I assume this is double combo druid and then Snipert's using control warrior, then Snipert is just walking straight into a bad matchup. One of control warrior's worst matchup is the sort of combo druid.
Yeah.
And especially with the introduction of Darnassus Aspirant, their ramp got a lot more what's the term? Reliable.
Yeah.
So instead of working on just wild growth and innervate, you now have the Darnassus Aspirant for sort of 6 sources of ramp.
Well, the Fiery War Axe, it's going to be a good answer to the Aspirant for now.
Yes, Fiery War Axe is such a good answer to the Aspirant. In fact, at one point, patron decks were only running 1 Fiery War Axe. Because it wasn't that good. I mean, it was good anti-aggro. But outside of that, like, you really wanted your cycle and stuff. But with the introduction of Darnassus Aspirant, it became so pivotal to have, you know, that response that even patrons were running 2 Fiery War Axes to deal with the Darnassus Aspirant.
Good, so Zombie Chow, this is a pretty interesting combo druid deck.
I assume it's probably on druid.
It's probably
with
control. Oh yeah.
It's probably on druid. A very slow sort of focused druid.
Another
you
Zombie
won't
Chow.
win off of like damage. You'll just win.
Sorry, you
Like your Ancient of War will trade into like 3 of their minions.
Yeah.
Although I'm surprised he runs double Chow.
It's just such a good answer, I guess, to aggressive decks, which could
I can take the hit.
potentially be an issue.
But since you're druid, you run like 6 sources of ramp.
Yeah.
The
well,
Chow, like, he might not be running shade. Just barely eking it out with the control warrior.
Yeah, that was a pretty lucky joust there. Control Warrior doesn't have that many low minions. Although, I guess if you include Taskmaster, Big Game Hunter, and Armor Smith, that is a couple. But compared to...
He can get rid of the jouster now. It'll take quite a while. It'll take a little bit of resources. He'll have to Taskmaster the jouster.
Then Power Shield Slam?
Yeah, armor up and then shield slam. Looks like he's going to bash instead.
I don't really agree with the wasting the bash here. I feel like that's such a potentially useful card
He's
later.
executing
Oh.
it.
Huh.
That is very interesting. Like, once you saw the Master Jouster, you probably know that this deck runs things like Ancient of War. Speaking of which, he just drew one. So that's like 5/10. And, you know, an Ancient of War, you need to execute to deal with that 10 HP. Since you can't rely on having 10 armor to shield slam it.
Well, for the next turn, he could. I mean, he'll have 9 armor, which is close.
Close, but not
No
enough.
cigar, yeah. Revenge isn't really going to be useful in this particular matchup, especially when Snipert's sitting at 30 HP.
Yeah, if he had the bash, he could have been able to bash and trade his cool Taskmaster.
Wow, that's... Using the Shield Slam so early against this sort of a deck could be a huge issue.
Yeah, it's like normally this type of druid deck kind of, if the warrior has the responses, it just kind of withers. You know, your Ancient of Warriors die to execute. You know, you don't apply a lot of pressure, so the warrior can build up their armor and they can easily shield slam your big minion. But due to Snipert's poor management of his removals, I feel that you know, Patfire can take advantage of that. You know, all he has to do is just not play too heavily into Brawl, and he can, you know, manage to come out.
Yeah. Keeper of the Grove feels like a no-brainer play onto the Ysera because there's no other immediate way to clear.
Yeah, Ysera is such a difficult card for Druids to deal with. Until TGT, they didn't really have any sort of hard removal outside of, you know, poison seeds.
Sure.
And then with TGT, they introduced the card Mulch, which is a godsend for slower Druids. It's basically kill a minion, and then they get a random minion. So if you're destroying something like Ragnaros or Ysera, you know, they might get something like, you know, Boulder Fist Ogre, or they might get, you know, Captain's Parrot.
Yeah. It's almost always worth when you kill one of those 9 mana, 8 mana drop minions.
This is interesting. He's using the BGH.
Okay, that's fairly clever, you gotta admit.
Yeah. I've used that combo several times before. It's a very cute combo to pull off.
Yeah.
But I might have saved it for Kelsazad. Or for the second Ancient of War. Because with the Ysera and with the Death Spite, he could have gotten rid of the Ancient of War on board. But I guessing he values sort of board control, I guess.
It's unfortunate for Snipert because there's another Ancient of War. It's just gonna be so hard to get rid of.
He needs his second Execute or second Shield Slam.
He could use a lot of resources to clear it. But it's not a play you want to make. You know what I mean? Like, he could clear it, but wasting so many cards to do so. Question is it really worth?
He can trade with what he has on board. The 1/2 Slime, the 4 Ysera, and the Death Spite, and I'll get rid of it.
Yeah.
But it leaves his Ysera at 2 HP. He'll have to play the Sludge Belcher to protect it, I guess. And then he'll just armor up. He's probably not gonna get much Brawl value outside of a crazy sort of Kelsazad turn. Is that a Youthful Brewmaster?
Yeah.
That is... I just noticed that card.
It's not a bad card if you can combo it with stuff like Ancient of Lore or
No. Normally the sort of... the only reason you'll see Brewmasters in Druid is in the sort of dreaded Fatigue Druid deck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you Brewmaster things like Anti-Killbot and, you know, Cold Light Oracle. But I guess you can Brewmaster things like Darnas's Aspirant so that you don't have to deal with the Death Rattle.
Yeah.
Turns into basically a Wild Growth. Or you could Brewmaster, you know, your Ancient of War and then play it again.
Well, if you think about it...
He can Brewmaster his Keeper to silence the Sylvanas.
Exactly. Almost every single Druid card has some sort of innate value if you can replay it. And we should probably see that. Or he could power and clear and then play Boom. That's another option available, but then he will lose his Keeper.
Looks like he's deciding to just trade into it.
Still, yeah, that's still a really strong play.
And then drop the boom. Yeah, right now it's Revenge, Execute, Shield Maiden seems like a pretty good play. It's 2 cards for 1 Dr. Boom, but
I can take the hit.
Snipert is kind of at like the end of his rope when it comes to card advantage.
Yep, Snipert has really no card advantage.
Where shall I strike?
Lotus and Druid of the Claw. Coming down for Patfire. 10 mana Brawl and a Harrison Jones. That really isn't going to be helpful at all, but he's going to play it regardless. Interesting. Because both those minions could die now if Patfire chooses to kill them.
The thing is, we know that the only card in Snippert's hand is Brawl. And one of the And something that's difficult for warriors to do is to deal 1 damage to 1 minion, outside of Cruel Taskmaster.
Mm-hmm.
But Snipert has already used 1 Cruel Taskmaster. So, Patfire is essentially getting a free trade out here with the, with that druid.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like he decides to heal it back up.
Wow.
You know, I would have kept the, Druid the Claws of 4-1. And then I probably would have,
Oh, boy.
pinged. Oh, that is a great draw.
Yeah,
Snipert.
because Patfire choosing not to go for the 2-card draw from the Ancient of Lore means that now he'd have to use a lot of resources to kill this. He's still in a good position though, but that boom was a great top deck for Snipert.
Oh yeah, especially since, you know, Snipert had like no value on his hand, no pressure, no minions. And boom is just great. Like these boom bots could just absolutely wreck Patfire's board. Or go face. Smork.
Where shall I strike?
Also, the thing is, he doesn't really want to draw anymore since he's got 7 cards left in his deck. And Snipert is at
11.
11, so he's gonna hit fatigue if he continues to draw. And it's useful Brewmaster. You know, he can, you know, Brewmaster one of his minions. Oh, that is unfortunate. Since he drew the bash, he could have bashed the 5-4.
Attacked into it and then maybe killed the
Attack
Azure
into it,
Drake.
and then hopefully, you know, finish
Yeah.
off the Azure Drake.
That would have been. That would have had a
the
greater
Boom
chance of
Box
success.
So if it hit the Azure Drake for 4, that would have been, you know, a blowout. You know, perfect balance.
Yeah.
But oh,
Well, what do you think? You've got to go for the Acolyte Brawl play, right?
yeah, Acolyte Brawl. Another play was sort of Acolyte and bash your Acolyte, but that never really feels good.
33% chance, doesn't get it.
Yeah. It wasn't an Armor Smith, which we know he still has left. So there's a 10% chance for one of these draws to be absolutely dead for Snipert when he draws that Armor Smith, or if he has 2.
Well, let's think of the draws that wouldn't be dead. What can he draw that saves him here? I don't. Not much.
Sylvanas is pretty good. That is, he could bash.
Yeah. Doesn't
He
save
gets
him
rid of
though.
the first pass of the Shredder. It's not that. That's actually pretty bad. Fiery War Axe is probably one of the things you do not want to see right now.
Yeah.
Grom is meh. I mean, Grom and you can't even Grom and bash in the same turn, so Grom would have been a poor top deck. Sylvanas was already played. Alex Strasser would have been decent. You saw him use 2 Druids of the Quad to deal with Boom. Oh, there's that Armor Smith.
Armor made to fit.
Armor made to fit.
And we'll probably see the Azure Drake fade into the Armor Smith.
Yeah, that's kind of a no-brainer. Patfire, like you said before, he's running low on cards. He only has 3 cards in deck. So if by some miracle Snipert manages to clear the rest of his minions... Huh. Okay, so he's not even afraid of the Armor Smith doing anything impactful, deciding just to go Smork.
Well, the thing is, the Armor Smith can't do anything impactful.
Well, that card can.
Yep, the Death Spider is going to be great for clearing out that Azure Drake. And then that first half of the Shredder. Snipert might be running 2 brawls. But a brawl on that board wouldn't have been that crazy.
No.
And he wasn't, and I guess Patfire wasn't really choosing to play around it either.
Ooh,
Geddon's pretty good.
that's a pretty good card.
He might also be running just a card True Heart, which would be another great card.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't seen that. Because in my Control Warrior build, it's definitely a card I run. Although,
Oh yeah, it's the Control Warrior card.
Yeah.
Gaining 4 armor per turn is crazy.
what a top deck though. Patfire still had a big game Hunter left. Then he's also gonna Brewmaster it up.
Yeah, because you know that Control Warriors, there's still a Gromash left in there.
Yeah.
You know, there might be an Alex Straza. You know, these are big bombs, but now you don't really want to play them anymore. You know, he has a big game Hunter. So what's the use of playing them if they're gonna immediately die?
Oh man, another armor smith.
Armor
You know what he
made
could
to
have done?
fit.
He has one more execute left. He has. I don't think he runs 2 whirlwinds.
I don't think I've seen a single whirlwind so far.
Or excuse me, revenge.
Okay,
I don't
yeah,
think he
yeah.
runs 2 revenges.
Yeah.
So he probably runs 2 cruel taskmasters.
No time for games.
He only has 1 more Grom. That means with the last of the cruel taskmaster in there, he only has 1 Grom activator left. And that's the only way for him to deal sort of 10.
Oh, hello.
Speaking of Grom,
Okay, so he knows he has the big game hunter. Does he just play this and go for face?
you know, I might just. You're at 23 HP. He's trying to sort of outrace him using
Yeah.
the fatigue damage.
Well, Patfire with a little bit of BM there.
The thing is, he can't kill his own.
Sylvanas.
I mean, he can swipe face and
beast in my sight.
BGH, and then boom.
Snipert needs another brawl and then something else to kill the BGH if he gets lucky.
Yep. Let's see. Next turn,
Oh, that's not
Patfire
good.
has 10 damage. That is not a good card.
Game's not over yet, though.
Yep.
But Snipert decides it is. That's actually Patfire 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 taking the series in pretty dominant fashion, 3 games to 0.
Yeah, that's quite unfortunate for Snipert. The first round was just blown out by the face hunter doing face hunter things. Second round, I think the critical misplay was leaving a minion up versus the control priest while you had duplicate up,
Yeah,
and a minion that wasn't
useful.
a value minion.
Yeah.
Like, I also feel that he should have coined out the sludge belcher.
Mm-hmm.
Like, having 2 belchers on that board would have been like absolutely devastating. Outside of that, I don't really see what else he could have done differently. The priest had great draws. You know, double Arcanize, great. I don't think he runs Cabal in that deck. I have no idea how you could even fit it in. I think that's
Yeah.
the biggest issue with priest decks. There are so many good cards. Oftentimes you have to figure out what to cut to fit things in. But in the third match, versus that sort of, I mean, there was no way he could have played around the useful Brewmaster with any sort of value. But he kind of expended his resources inefficiently, like that execute or the shield slam, the bash.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if he's gonna execute, like, he could have used shield slam there. Like, versus, like, once you saw that it was a master jouster, you know it's a slow druid that doesn't run combo. That means you gotta conserve your stuff. You gotta let them sort of play into brawl. No,
Yeah.
the smart druids won't play into brawl, which means that with their, that means your other, because normally brawl is, as a control warrior, it's what brings you back into the game.
Yeah.
It's what lets you sort of outvalue of the control decks, because normally warrior, even though, you know, you might think of, you know, control warrior as the pay to win, you know, legendary deck, it doesn't really have that much sort of innate value in it. But, you know, compared to like things like Druid, Ancient of War, you know.
Yeah, a lot of the cards are strong later game cards, but they need turns sort of to be useful. Whereas
Yeah,
the Druid just has value as soon as the card is played, you know?
yeah, value, like, for example, Ancient of Lore, you know, you get a 5/5 and you get to draw 2.
Yeah.
That, you know, the way at slow decks, the way you beat Control Warrior is you just simply outdraw them.
Yep.
The only draw they have are things like Shield Block and Acolyte.
Which isn't very much compared to, you know, decks like Druid.
I mean, some Control Warriors run Variant, but he's kind of a controversial choice.
Yeah,
Not many
definitely.
people, especially with the inclusion of Justicar. Many, basically, there are sort of 2 schools of thought in the Control Warrior deck. you either run Justicar or you run Varian. Because getting Justicar off of Varian might lose you the game in certain matchups.
Yeah, that's very true. Anyway, for now, we're going to be wrapping it up for Hearthstone. Of course, as always, a big shout out to our sponsors, Twitch, the website you're watching this on, and a huge supporter of esports, Rockcat, MSI, and Newegg for all their gaming peripherals, Blizzard Entertainment for sponsoring the HSL and making Hearthstone as well, and Jinx for all their cool gamer apparel. If you'd like to talk to us about the matches, or I also cast for League of Legends, you can hit me up at @CMooseOne on Twitter. And Blitzbot, where could we find you?
Well, you've probably seen me, audience, you've probably seen me on Twitch, BlitzBot2. I like to sort of hang out in a bunch of streams. On Twitter, you can find me as @BlitzBot2. I write for ESL and Temple Storm, and I'm sort of the editor for Team Vicious Syndicate. So you can find me oftentimes with their players, hanging out in their streams. And for those of you who've been following my sort of writings, I got a big article in store for you guys. Not going to say what's in it, but I'm just going to say it's big.
All right, well, everyone look forward to that. As I said, Hearthstone, of course, is going to be done for now. However, at 8 o'clock, 5 p.m. Pacific, we will have Jump and Piscator bringing us HSL League of Legends. So don't go anywhere, guys. The HSL will be right back in a couple of hours. We'll see you then.